Hello, future adult assistants, and welcome to session 2 of our Becoming an Adult Assistant Discipleship Journey. In this session, we're going to be talking about the part that you play as an adult assistant. So let's dive right in. So here are the main topics that we're going to cover. The first one, and this one really kind of sets the stage for the rest of what we talk about, is this difference between leading and assisting. Now, in one sense, you really are going to continue to lead in the role that you play within the children's ministry and the children's gathering, but it's just going to look differently than the way that we mostly think about adults leading in that context. So we're going to talk a lot about kind of like the servanthood role and the assisting role that you'll be doing while still very much leading. All right, and then we're going to talk about the big 5 is what we call them, and these are 5 of the most important and key factors about being an adult assistant. And so I'll just rifle through them real quick here. Observe, engage, encourage, assist, and enforce. And we'll dive deep into each one of those to give you a full understanding of what I mean by each word. All right, but first, we are talking about a new expression of church and thus a new expression of children's ministry. And like I said, we are looking at a way to embrace not so much leading in the traditional sense when we're with the kids, but assisting. That's why we've called this the adult assistant role. We're using language very intentionally there. Now, the kids are going to still need you to lead in some ways, and we'll get into some of those things. But what we're really trying to embrace right now is an aspect where the adult is not the primary one that is leading every component of the gathering. They're not the primary one that's planning for it. They're not the primary one that's doing all of the teaching and all of the activations and games and songs. They're not the ones that are leading all of that. We are creating an interdependent ecosystem here of kids where in a decentralized way, we are allowing our children to self-effuse, to be who they were created to be by God, and to really have a direct impact in the children's ministry and the gathering that we're a part of. So we're embracing, rather than an upfront, I am leading, I am taking control, we are more of a servant and assistant within the gathering. And that's actually the way that you'll be leading. All right, how do we do that? That's a very, very good question. And that's why I've created what I've called the big 5. And these are 5 things that can constantly just be going through your mind. I hope you're able to memorize them and you're able to really think about them when you're in the children's gathering. Those give you a very good framework to accomplish what we're wanting out of our adult assistants in this context. So let's start out with number 1, observe. This is really important because this kind of sets the stage for the rest of what we're doing. You need to be able to observe and to see all that's going on before you're really able to act and do what you're called to do. So be curious. Be really curious about the environment. Be curious about the kids, how they're doing. Be curious about the conductor. Just have this mindset of curiosity, being really curious and noticing. The next thing that you're going to want to do and you're responsible for is to look for potential dangers. I mean, if you walk into the place where the kids are meeting and you see nails and screws on the floor from a construction project that the owner of the home was doing, like, that's going to be something that you need to take care of. Now, hopefully the conductors are part of this and are doing that. But if you're noticing any situation, this is your opportunity to really ahead of time be able to create a safe environment for our kids. And that doesn't just go for physical safety. That also goes for emotional safety. Maybe during the fluid portion of the gathering, when everyone was together before the kids have met separately, you notice that one of the children is just really acting out right now. And so you can notice that ahead of time to be able to either talk to the parents in advance or figure out a way that you can address that situation with the kid so that they're not going to be very disruptive during the K through 5 gathering. So look out for potential dangers. And notice the spiritual and emotional climate. You carry the ability within you to change the spiritual atmosphere of environments. And so if you walk in to that K through 5 gathering and you're noticing anxiety or frustration or depression or whatever it might be, now is your time to be able to take authority over that in the spiritual realm and to really battle on behalf of our kids. And like I said, the emotional climate too, notice what the emotional climate is, how the kids are doing, how they're feeling. Maybe there's some that are extremely joyful and happy, others that are looking sad and depressed. This is your opportunity to really observe what's going on within each of our kids and within the gathering space as a whole. All right, number 2, engage. This is your opportunity to have fun, let loose, be a kid with the kids. Yes, you need to maintain the structure and the responsibilities of being an adult in this environment, but I also want you to have fun. The kids are going to naturally just be drawn to you like a magnet if you're also having fun in this process. Show interest in what's happening. This isn't about sitting off to the side in a corner and just kind of overseeing to make sure nothing wrong happens. You're able to actually participate, show interest. The more that you show interest or engaged, that's going to be likelier that the kids are going to also show interest and be engaged in the K-5 gathering. And finally, ask questions or respond to questions. Act like you're a participant in this thing. Like I said, you have to create a little bit of distance in the sense that at the end of the day, you are the authority figure in that room that is there to keep things safe, make sure that all of our values are being followed. But this is also a time to really engage and be a kid yourself. So if the conductor is leading an equipping lesson and there's a place to respond, feel free to respond yourself. Obviously, leave plenty of room for the kids to share and engage, but they'll actually sometimes, especially if no one's saying anything, they'll follow after your example. So if if there's a question that's asked and you have 20, 30 seconds and no one said anything, what a great opportunity for you to step in to kind of break the ice and be able to lead by example for the kids. Number 3, encourage. This is so huge. Just be such a big source of encouragement within this gathering. I really would ask you as the adult assistant to focus on how you can encourage the conductor. The conductors are really having a lot of responsibility to respond to what the Holy Spirit's doing in the gathering. And so before the gathering, during the gathering, after the gathering, whenever possible, encourage them. Let them know all the awesome things that they're doing. Let them know that they're really making an impact in these kids' lives. Just be really open and just sharing encouragement with the conductors. For the kids, as the kids lead their roles, something as simple as a way to go, that was awesome, great job. Whatever it is at the end of when they're done leading, that can mean the world to a kid and really give them a ton of confidence to want to choose that role or maybe a different role in the future. And just praise positive attitudes and behavior that you're seeing. This is a time where whether the kid's leading or whether they're engaging really well, whatever's happening, just continue to think through being an encourager and just praise that behavior, praise whenever kids are doing well and are really showing a lot of interest in what we're engaging in. All right. Out of the 5, we're into number 4 now, and that is assist. And this is where the adult assistant, the assistant portion really becomes key here. Before the gathering, ask the conductor if you can specifically assist them in any way. Once again, this isn't coming in to check in on the conductor. Hey, do you got everything figured out? You good to go? It's more of hey, I want to be able to help make this the best gathering it can be. Is there any way that I can actually help you in a tangible way? Doing that beforehand. Many times I think the conductors will probably say, no, just, do your normal part, but they might have something special that they have planned and they would really appreciate some assistance, or maybe they're feeling extra nervous. It's one of their first times doing it, or they're just having a bad week and they need you to step in a little bit more. Ask them ahead of time and really be able to see the best way that you can assist. Don't assume what's best. Actually ask them. Assist with children struggling with their roles. This is key. A lot of these kids that are leading their roles, it might be one of the first times they're doing it. They're still growing in it. This is a really new and sometimes challenging thing for a child to be in that place of leadership, especially among their peers. Now, when I'm asking you to assist, what I don't want you to do is to take over. Once again, that's just the kind of natural paradigm that we as parents, we as adults fall into. We kind of get you can't handle it, I'm taking over now. That's not what we want to do. We want to work alongside, and we really want to lead the kids into being able to step into that place of leadership themselves. So one of the best ways that I've found to do this is, let's say a kid is the game captain, and they're explaining the rules of a game that they're wanting to play. There could be a chance that in their explanation, they're missing some key components that you notice pretty upfront, and hey, if we don't explain these parts, it's going to probably be kind of a messy game. So what you can do is, rather than say, hey, I noticed that you forgot X, Y, and Z, Ask them questions. Ask them, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or what would you suggest for this? Give them an opportunity to actually give an answer rather than assuming that you know the answer up front and telling them and the rest of the kids what to do. All right. And finally, embrace the heart of a servant. And this is just leading by example. Wherever you can see an opportunity to serve, take it. Take the opportunity to serve. Be helpful. Be someone that the conductors and the rest of the kids look at and go, wow, they are really serving this thing. Not that they're leading and controlling and I have to follow everything that they're saying all the time, but wow, I can see that they really love us and they're really trying to serve us really well in this situation. And now the final and fifth part of this, and that is enforce. And this has kind of a negative connotation to it. I don't mean it. This is about enforcing our values, enforcing what we're trying to create and build within the gathering so that it is a safe and an effective place for ministry and growth in God. So there's going to be times where you're going to need to address some negative behavior. If you're noticing a child that is continually disrupting the group, that is not keeping their hands to themselves, things like this, they're not following the values that we have as a K through 5 gathering, that's going to be something that you need to step in and do. What we're trying to do with this is we don't want the conductors to be the quote-unquote bad guys in these situations. We want the conductors to be seen as helpful leaders that are leading the kids into fun. So if there's ever a time where behavior needs to be addressed, try to be the one that addresses it before the conductor needs to address it, all right? Try to do it quietly. Try to do it in a way that brings about the least disruption to everything that's going on in the gathering, but be firm and make sure that you're addressing these situations when they come up. Don't let kids continually get away with negative behavior that's going to negatively influence our time together. Utilize disciplinary measures when necessary. Now, we might have to come up with a whole sort of system of how we want to engage in discipline. I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. We do not apply any physical discipline with our kids. There is no spanking of kids. There is no anything that is physically or even verbally abusive in any way. We got to be very, very careful that we are not engaging in anything that is demeaning the kids in any way at all. But we do need to be firm and we do need to make sure that we are disciplining when necessary. That can be as simple as, hey, I'm noticing that you're having a really hard time following the instructions of this game. I need you to sit out to the side so that the rest of the kids are able to play and have fun. Or, hey, I'm noticing that you're having a really difficult time not talking when other people are talking. And so I need you to come sit next to me, and I'm going to need you to probably not do any speaking here for the next 5 minutes. Things like that. I trust that you have the common sense and the knowledge to do this. If you're finding yourself wanting to do this and getting through the qualification process of being an adult assistant, I trust that you have those skills. If you ever need help with that, though, come to me. I'm more than happy to be able to help walk you through any more of that. And finally, if it becomes a recurring theme, there's going to become a time where you need to speak with the parents and try to catch this earlier rather than later. What we don't want to do is have a big problem arise where over and over again, this child is disrupting and not following our values and becoming more of a negative influence in the gathering. We don't want to let that build up to a point where it's like, hey, we need to take this kid out. He can't be with us anymore. No, we should have addressed that situation far ahead of time. So if there's little things that happen here or there, I'm not saying every little thing you need to bring to the parent, but what I am saying is if you're noticing a trend beginning, let's make sure to nip that in the bud quick and talk to the parents and let them do the primary discipling and disciplining if needed for that child. This is going to be something that you're going to want to do quickly after the gathering. Catch them before they leave. Make sure that they know. And also think about this in reverse. Like if there's a kid that's really standing out, be going around to the parents afterwards and being like, oh man, Sophia did amazing today. She led this activation so well. I was so impressed. Like, parents really want to hear the ways that their kids are doing well also. Sometimes we can really lean into talking to the parents when it's just something negative, but let's share positive stuff too and really encourage them in the way that they are bringing up their kids as well. All right, so those are the big 5. You may need to rewatch this video to let those sink in. Do whatever you need to, but those are the things that I want going through your mind as you're participating in our K through 5 gatherings. All right. Next session is session 3. This is going to be the final video teaching that I'm going to be doing with you, and it's about empowering the next generation. This is more of a large-scale motivational type of talk that I want to give to really let you know that what you're doing as an adult assistant is changing the lives of these youngsters. Looking forward to seeing you then.